So a keynote presentation is going to inspire and move the audience. It's going to talk to the masses. It's going to be a broad enough topic that people can see themselves or engage with it. You're going to take people on a journey in a keynote presentation, right? They should feel emotion. But then there's a workshop presentation. And that you don't have to have people going, oh my God, clap, clap, clap. They have to say, yes, this is me. This person is helping me. They're giving to me. They're serving me. So if you are serving the client with information, now you might be very entertaining, don't get me wrong, and you can still do workshops to large groups, but it's a different sort of presentation. It is a sharing of information where there's more interaction or the individual is taking away data from you.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Profit designers, does it feel like your business is taking over your life? It shouldn't be that way. Work should support life, not the other way around. And at Tap the Potential, we have a solution for you. You can get started on your journey with us to take your life back from your business by downloading my introductory training, How to Make Your Time Worth $10,000 an Hour. You can access it at tapthepotential.com/10K. Today's guest is Lee Hayes. Lee Hayes puts professional speakers on more stages. She is founder of Go Leeward Speaker Management, working with inspirational and impactful speakers like Mike Michalowicz, Emmanuel and Jeff Hoffman. Through her Path to the Mainstage speaker program, she also helps emerging speakers by sharing the behind-the-curtain secrets of professional speakers and event planners that are essential to speaker success. Most speakers don't fail because of their content or their onstage talent. They fail to be successful because they don't understand the business of speaking. With a long history in business working with corporations, associations, NPFs, and more, Lee Hayes gives emerging speakers who want to accelerate their businesses the skills and tactical path to getting themselves on the main stage. Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Starling. On the Profit by Design podcast, we are all about helping entrepreneurs take your life back. And we focus on designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And today's guest is Lee Hayes. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lee in just a minute, but I want to tell you why I've invited Lee here. The reason I've invited Lee to be with us is because I've been having lots of conversations over the last year or two, and I have people asking me about writing books and speaking, and how do you get booked for speaking engagements? And I'm not an expert on that. I don't know how to do it. And that's why I work with Lee. So Lee has actually become more involved in helping emerging speakers really know what we need to do to get booked for all these speaking engagements. Now, one of the things that you may not recognize is that keynote speaking and speaking in general is one of the highest paid professions out there, if not the highest paid profession. And those people who do it well, on the surface, you may think, you know what? They write a speech, they have their one speech that they go around and they deliver it everywhere. That must be super easy. What a cushy lifestyle to be on those planes and going out and delivering those keynotes. And it what goes on in the background is a whole different scenario. And there are things that you need to know if you want to be a speaker, and especially if you want to be a keynote speaker. So that's why Lee is here with us today. So Lee, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast.
Hey, it is so glad to be here because these are some of my favorite topics, right? Helping people speak and also the behind the secrets stuff that happens that people don't know about.
Yeah, there's really so much to it that I think you can share with us and really help us understand what it takes. So Lee, I'm going to start with just asking you to share, how did you come to be doing this? Why are you so passionate about it?
So my story is I think like many entrepreneurs, which was I was in the big corporate world, right? Big pharma. And my end was unemployment. And knowing that I was going to be unemployed, they gave me a 2-year exit plan. I had to fire everybody in the company, and then I was last one out back in human resources. But then I got a call from Mike Michalowicz, who said, hey, I understand you have nothing to do right now but sit at your desk 8 hours a day. And it was true. I did nothing. It was my job to sit there. And he said, hey, I just fired my agency. We had some problems. You have a legal background. You've planned events. Would you mind just while you're doing nothing, working for me for like 12 weeks? Answer my calls, do some negotiating for me, write my contracts, and then you'll go your way. You'll find your new corporate job. I'll go my way. I'll have my new agency, and that'll be the end of it. That was 7 years ago. And I just loved it because I am constantly surrounded by people who are smarter than I am, right? And isn't that the goal of every entrepreneur, to be surrounded by smart people? And think about it. These speakers, I work with thought leaders, right? The best people in profitability, the best people in how to run a business, the best leaders, best pitch artists, best improv artists, all these people who are the best at something. And I get to absorb that every day. And how can one not be passionate about that?
Yeah, that is exciting work. So, and kudos to Mike for spotting an opportunity. He's really good at that.
Yes, he is.
And I have had the pleasure of being a part. I was lucky enough to get in early on with you. And I really had the pleasure of watching your business grow and evolve and how you've changed your model. And it's a really very effective model that you're using to help speakers and connect speakers with event planners. So, you know what event planners are looking for. So could you give us the scoop? If we want to get booked for a speaking engagement, what are event planners looking for?
Well, it's funny. I used to think that every event planner was different. Every event was different. And it turns out that in every country, in every event, they're all looking for the exact same thing. And the number one thing that event planners look for is putting butts in seats. And what that means from a speaker's viewpoint is they're looking for celebrity. And celebrity does not mean you've been on TV or in a movie, doesn't mean you're a famous singer. Celebrity, simply know, if you look at, Webster Dictionary, I'm sorry, kids, that's a book. It's got pages in it. But if you Google it, what's celebrity? It means you are known by people. So the trick is, now here's the first trick for speakers, is you need a tight niche market, because the tighter your market is, the more people in that niche will know you, right? So you become a celebrity in that market, and then you can roll that and get that bigger and bigger. So that's the number one thing, is that people need to know who you are.
So if we are just getting started, and I'm going to confess, I missed this for years. I focused on building my business, and my celebrity status was at the bottom of my list of concerns. And so social media, we did some of that, getting things out there on YouTube and doing a podcast, that was kind of lower in priority. So if we want to start building our celebrity, what are some of the things that we can be doing?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is figure out that target market. So you look at your business and you say, okay, my business, my best clients are whoever they are. My best clients are people who are involved in health, in good health, being physically healthy, dietary healthy. Those are my best clients. It's sort of that diet health world. But then you say, but now I'm not speaking to that person, right? I'm not speaking to the person who's looking to lose weight. That's who you're speaking to. That's the person who's sitting in the audience. but that's not the person who's hiring you, right? If I'm trying to lose weight, I don't go, oh, let me hire Sabrina Starling to get on a stage in front of 100 people so I can lose weight. That's not the right person. So you have to think like a speaker and say, okay, who puts events together for people who are trying to lose weight? Because they need to hear from me, but they're not going to hire me. So now you say, let me look at, so that's my audience. My client is the dieter. Who's my audience? So now you say, you Google it, right? Places you can lose weight. So you're going to look into maybe gyms, associations who are associations of gyms. And then you'll narrow that down and go, you know what? My best market to get hired is women who are, or associations who have women who own women-run gyms that are focused on weight loss, like Curves or something like that. But there are associations out there like that who have members who are members of these gyms, or the members are people who run these gyms. So then you go, oh, that's my market. Now then, you've got to figure out how to become a celebrity in that market. And that might mean doing podcasts in that market, focusing your social media on that market, getting on TV, but on TV on a news program maybe that focuses on healthcare. So now you become the face of healthcare. Maybe it means writing a book, right? If you haven't written a book yet, now you are the expert on that one thing. So that's how you get your start.
So, and I'm really appreciating how you broke that down, because it does feel, when you think about, okay, now I need to be a celebrity, that's overwhelming. And we think, okay, so I need to be like Oprah. How do I, I'm just little me over here. How do I do that? It's really getting clear on the target market, and then what associations are going to have a lot of those people. And it's those associations and those event planners that you're wanting to have the celebrity pull with, so that they want to hire you. And understanding the needs of an event planner is very different than understanding the needs of a top client. So like you said, what matters to event planners are butts in seats. That's what makes them look good and helps them advance in their career, is how many times they can fill an event with how many people. And so when we go into this with that understanding, then we can speak their language. Those of you who are pumpkin planners, if you're following this is all pumpkin planning, just woven in a little bit different direction, focusing on the needs of event planners. So I wonder if, when we're looking at getting speaking engagements, how important is it for us to have good on-stage performance? And Lee, do the best speakers make the most money?
You'd think the best speakers make the most money. And it's not the best speakers who make the most money. And this poor man, because I slam him all the time, Richard Branson. Richard Branson is a terrible public speaker. Sorry, he just is. I was so excited to go to an event once where he was speaking, and I sat there going, I paid money for this. He sat down in a chair and was interviewed. That was it. They asked him a few questions. He gave a few answers. He talked about sex a little bit. He swore a couple times. The audience loved it. That was it. He makes between $100,000 and $200,000 per talk. Like you were talking about speakers being the highest paid positions. It is 1 hour, $100,000 to $200,000. And he's terrible, but he has a lot of celebrity. He fills the seats. Not everybody, or say you don't have the celebrity, say you're not Oprah, who can make almost $1 million an hour. If you don't have that level of celebrity, don't get me wrong, you need to be good, right? If you want to be a serious speaker, that's your job. You need to be good. You don't need to be great, though. You need to be a really, really great business person to get yourself on the stage. But there are tips and tricks, right, to being a great speaker without being a great performer.
Yeah. And so, I have had, I think the opportunity is how I'll call it, to learn from different, thought leaders on speaking. Some who emphasize you've got to entertain and it's the on-stage presence. Others who will say just exactly what you said. It doesn't matter really how you come across, just as long as you build the celebrity presence. And then as they're up on stage, they're smacking bubble gum and, throwing balls in the audience and whatever. And And there's a lot of conflicting messages, but really for us to understand that we need to be good, and that requires practice and putting the time in to deliver. Ultimately, though, it means thinking about what event planners want and how do we support them in getting what they need to really put those butts in the seat. So Lee, as someone is starting out and thinking about, because we have people who they work on getting their business where it can run without them. And a lot of times they're thinking, I don't know what to do with myself now that I have this extra time. I've always wanted to write a book. Maybe I'll be a speaker. That's kind of how the thinking tends to go. And so if we're starting to think about maybe I want to have the next phase of my life, maybe I want to focus on building a speaking career, what are some of the foundational steps to take to start building a speaking career?
Start small. So if you have a big news event, right, again, celebrity, and you land a plane on a Hudson River, you will have a speaking career the next day, right? If you don't do that, now you need to start small. So especially when you're tying it into your business or tying it into your book, which most people do, start local, right? There are groups who are looking for speakers every day. I mean, you start with your Chamber of Commerce. You start Googling. You need to do research. So the thing to becoming a successful speaker, be good on stage. Like I said, you don't have to be great, although great will help you build celebrity. But say you're really good. Not all of us can be great, but say you're really good. You hustle. You get out there. You have to start by reaching out. Some speakers, and this is the biggest mistake I see in the speaking business, they build a beautiful website, $10,000 website. They have a $10,000 speaker reel created. So they look perfect. And then they sit there and they go, okay, where is everyone? Why aren't they reaching out to me? And it's because how are they supposed to find you, right? So you need to hustle in the beginning. In the speaking industry, they say that it takes 10 years to have overnight success. But you start the success right away, right? So you start by reaching out to your Chamber of Commerce, by reaching out to all these local groups. If you're a woman and you're speaking to women, speaking out to women's groups, there are many women's groups. Again, looking for that niche. Where is your expertise? Reach out to them and say, hey, and now we'll get into pricing in a minute, but I will fill the role you need, right? I will bring knowledge to your group if you'd like to have me speak. And then your celebrity will start to build. The more people see you, the more they're going to want you. Get on social media, right? I am not a social media person. I do not enjoy it. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I force myself every day to look at social media. But quite frankly, I have a VA who does all my posts for me. So, I'm always thrilled. I look at my phone and it beeps and they go, hey, somebody else liked your post. I'm going, darn, great. I wonder what I posted today. So, she has an outline and I do the background work. So the way I do it is I either do videos or interviews or things like that. And then I hand that stuff to her and I say, make posts out of this. And any business person can do that. There is, you can look up things like Leverage to Scale, which is a program. Look up a program that teaches you how to systematically use social media, because you need to be systematic on social media, again, to build celebrity, to build a following. You need cadence and you need to hustle.
Yeah.
That's how you start. You start by getting your butt in gear.
I would say a healthy dose of humble.
A lot of humble.
A lot of humble.
Please, a lot of humble. Thank you so much for saying that.
And what I mean by that is, if you think about it, those Rotary, the people at Rotary who are in charge with the education and bringing someone in to speak, the Chamber of Commerce, event planners, if you decide you've got this $10,000 website and this beautiful speaker reel, so you're the one, they're going to want you, and you come into it that way, that's the number one thing to do to be very off-putting. Approach it from the perspective of, I am here to serve. And it is an honor to have the opportunity to speak to your audience. Our mutual friend, John Bates, one of the things that he shared with me, he's shared many things with me that stick in my head, but one is to honor the listener. So if you're in a room with 30 people for an hour, that's 30 listening hours. That's 30 hours of lifetime. Remember that. And it's an honor to be there, whether they're paying you or not. And so I think that leads into our next discussion point is, what should we charge for speaking? If, Richard Branson can make all that money for an hour, what do I, Dr. Sabrina, get to charge?
Well, apparently all you need to do is start about 100 companies and launch something into space, and you could totally get $100,000 to $200,000. But if you haven't done that yet, so the first thing is never speak for free. And what I mean by that is, it has nothing to do with cash. It has to do with an exchange of value. If you are getting value out of a talk, then do it, right? So, because you're bringing value. Like you said, you are there. I love what you said, and you're right. I love John Bates. And he's a speaker trainer, and he doesn't necessarily train the best speakers in the world, but they are givers, right? He teaches you to give, and that's what it takes to be successful. And so, but understand that you are serving the client, you are giving them your time, your knowledge, your expertise, and they should value that, and they should give you a fair exchange. And that might be promoting you. That might be buying your books. That might be paying you cold, hard cash, right? But there needs to be some exchange, and they need to appreciate that there's an exchange. Because I have found that the moment you say, oh, I'll speak for free, you have just said, I have no value and you can step on me. And, I'm not serving you, I am your servant. Instead of being, loving to serve you, I'm being beaten by you. So make sure that they understand that you bring value and that they somehow need to give value back. And depending on what you're doing, your business, right? Value could be so many things. I mean, if you are a coach, you might be getting in front of a valuable audience. That's value. If you have a business, maybe they allow you to promote your business. Maybe they let you sell your book in the back of the room. Maybe they're going to videotape you and give you video. Video is golden and it has value. It has cost, right, to produce and take videos. So get value no matter what.
Yeah. So as I was developing my business coaching practice, at the time it wasn't a business, it was a practice. And I knew that the number one way to get clients for the business was public speaking. And so in my small town, I made myself available to the Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, Kiwanis, anybody that wanted me to speak. I'm like, I'm your woman. I will be there. And I had one or two topics that I spoke on. I had developed my speech. It was practiced and it was, ready to go at the drop of a hat. And I was working, just my way across the state, going to different towns and doing these things just to build the business and get clients. And then one day I got a phone call from the senior Kiwanians, the Golden K. And they said, we've heard that you speak and we are looking for a speaker on this topic. Would you speak to us on that? And me being early in my career and being a pleaser, I said yes. Well, it was a topic that was only tangentially related to what I was speaking on. And so that meant that I had to go and create a whole new speech to deliver for them. And so, Lee, what expectations should we have as emerging speakers around that? And how do we navigate when we get asked to change our topic or go in a completely different direction just because they need a speaker?
Right. Oh my gosh, such a great question. So I believe that good speakers who are successful speakers are thought leaders. They are an expert at something. They are bringing their knowledge to the audience. And if somebody comes from left field, right, and says, hey, Lee, we need you to speak about football, I might go out and research it and study and quickly throw something together. I am not bringing any value because I don't know anything about the sport. And I think you're doing yourself an injustice because now you're not shining from the stage. You're not really serving them and you're not getting your clients, right? So the reason you were building your business or the reason you were speaking was to build your business. Now you go and you speak on something that has nothing to do with your business, or like you said, so little. So it no longer brings you value either. I believe, and that's a huge red flag. When speakers come to me, one of the many red flags is when I say, what is your expertise? What do you speak on? And they say, anything. Give me a topic, I can talk about it. And that's one thing I talk about is there are talkers, there are teachers, and there are speakers. Right? Talkers are people who can talk about anything. They fill the space. And sometimes that's what an event planner wants, right? That's what your Kiwanian wants. They wanted a talker, somebody to fill the space elegantly. Then there are teachers. Teachers are your workshops, your people who are trying to build their businesses, who are bringing knowledge and giving knowledge to people, hoping that they want more or to build their business or whatnot. And then there are speakers. Speakers are the ones who are, now these are the ones that have to be the greater ones, right? These are the ones who get the keynote, who are edutaining the audience. They might be entertaining only. They might also have some education in there, but there's a great amount of inspiration, motivation, education, all sort of blended in there. Those are, speakers or keynote speakers. And I think any one of those categories are okay, but you really need to know which one you are. And I think talkers is the weakest one, right? Talkers, the people are like, just throw me on stage. But teachers are so necessary. And that's where most speakers should be. They should have knowledge and they should share it with their audience, but they need to speak on things that they are best at.
Mm-hmm. So what is the difference between a speech and a keynote?
Well, I guess the differentiation I make is a keynote presentation versus a workshop presentation. Generally, a keynote presentation has limited interaction, right? You should connect with the audience, but you're not necessarily interacting with the audience, because a keynote presentation can be in front of 100 or 1,000 people. It's not a Q&A. Right? I'll have people say that. They'll go, oh, Lee, I'm really good about, Q&Aing and talking with the audience. That's wonderful. But with 1,000 people, you've now excluded 990 of them because you can only talk to the front row. So a keynote presentation is going to inspire and move the audience. It's going to talk to the masses. It's going to be a broad enough topic that people can see themselves or engage with it. You're going to take people on a journey in a keynote presentation, right? They should feel emotion. But then there's a workshop presentation. And that you don't have to have people going, oh my God, clap, clap, clap. They have to say, yes, this is me. This person is helping me. They're giving to me. They're serving me. So if you are serving the client with information, now you might be very entertaining, don't get me wrong. And you can still do workshops to large groups, but it's a different sort of presentation. It is a sharing of information where there's more interaction or the individual is taking away data from you. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you're drawing this distinction. And there's no right or wrong, like, should you do this one or should you do that one? It's more like, what is your style and what is the content that you have to offer? Where is it going to fit best?
Mm-hmm. And some people can do both. But I have found that most speakers gravitate to one or the other because that's their passion.
So as we look to wrap up, I know you have a program where you support people, the path to the main stage. And I want to give you the opportunity to talk about that.
Well, thank you so much. So after years of working with speakers and getting all this fabulous behind the stages information from them and having so many speakers come to me, right, and say, can you get me jobs? I finally said, all right, I want to help all these emerging speakers, but I can't just put them on stage. They need to put them on stage. They need to understand the business of speaking. Like you mentioned before, many speaker coaches focus on presentation, right? The words, the keynote, the hand gestures, the connection. I focus on the other 80% of the business, right? So I think about 20% of what you do is on stage. The other 80% is knowing how to write a contract, knowing how to negotiate, knowing how to price yourself, knowing all the other things. Like event planners, number one is celebrity and filling butts, putting butts in seats. But there are a bunch of other things that are the other things they look for. And how do you get past them? It's understanding who the decision makers are. It's understanding how to reach them. It's understanding what needs to be on your website. It doesn't need to be a $10,000 website. It's understanding what other collateral you need. It's understanding that what a book does for you, right? It's all those things. So that is what the path to the main stage is. It's all those steps that you need to take, a systematic process to becoming successful in the business of speaking. So that's Path to the Main Stage, and it's pathtothemainstage.com. And it's interesting. I started out the program as a digital program that people could just, spend their money and go into the digital program. But what I have found is the same thing I found when I was in human resources for 20 years. And that is, if you give someone something and you say, you can do this whenever you get to it at your own rate. Do you know when they get to it?
Never.
So now I do all one-on-one and group, and they get that for free. So you can have the do-it-yourself as part of the program, but you're going to answer to me because I'm going to make sure you're successful. I'm going to keep you on track.
I love that. And Lee is a woman of her word. And if she says that, she's going to make sure you're successful and you do the work that you need to do because there is work involved. And you've really laid out a clear path for us for how we can get started and what it looks like to succeed with this. So, Lee, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, sharing your wisdom and expertise. And I just am so excited to be part of your journey, and I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Well, thank you so much. And I love seeing you on stages. And I know we've worked, several times, and I love watching you. But you progress both as a speaker, but also just helping everybody else. I mean, your business expertise is fabulous. So
thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this. If you're loving the Profit by Design podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your business or your life, would you mind doing two things? Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and please leave us a review. Our listener reviews help us get into the top 10 of all entrepreneurship podcasts so that more entrepreneurs like you discover us. Your review is critical in helping us make a difference for more entrepreneurs who are ready to take their life back.